then, so I hope you enjoyed the first part of the video, which was just me showing you how I apply my favourite lipstick, which is Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk lip liner and also Charlotte Tilbury's Matte Revolution lipstick in shade Bond Girl, and finishing that off with a smear across the face to mark the real importance of what this video is going to be about, and that is hashtag smear for smear. It is cervical screening week here in the UK, and I am here to tell you 10 top tips of why you should get your smear test done and some important information that you may or may not know. So let's get cracking. Please bear in mind that any of these pointers and any of these tips are purely based on my personal experience with having smear tests and treatment. Number 1. What is a cervical screening test? Well, a cervical screening test or a smear test or a pap test, whatever you want to refer to it to, is a method of detecting abnormal cells on the cervix. Now, the cervix is the entrance to the womb from the vagina, and the purpose of these tests is to detect and remove abnormal cells that will help prevent cervical cancer. Now, you can start having smear tests in the UK from the age of 25. Number 2, the smear test itself. It's quick, easy, over in 30 seconds, and it's not necessarily pain-free. For me it was, for lots of people it is, for lots of people it isn't. It's very much based on the individual and how your body reacts to that kind of situation, but it's 100% worth that little bit of discomfort, that little bit of embarrassment for the sake of saving your life. Number 3, results. Your results will come in the post from the NHS. Now, your GP will have sent off your results to the hospital for them to be tested, and they will send you the results letting you know the outcome of your smear test. Now, you have a couple of options. First will be that you've had the all clear and that everything's okay, which is great news, and you don't have to go for another smear for 3 years. Now, if that's not the case, there are a couple of things that might be applicable to you. One of the things that you could have shown on positive on your test results is HPV, which is human papillomavirus. That sounds weird. It is a little bit. It's transmitted and caught via sexual intercourse. Now that automatically sounds worrying because you would assume that it's an STI, a sexually transmitted infection or disease, but it's not. It's basically, in simple terms, like flu for the vagina. It's kind of like just a bit of a virus that you can pick up having sex, and it will typically sort itself out on its own, but it does show up in your smear test, and it is a good thing to show up because HPV can be linked to cervical cancer. So it's always good to know when you have your smear test whether you've got it or not. And then the other results that you could possibly have if your smear test has come back as negative, that you could have low, medium or high grade dysgeurosis. I think that's how you say it, I'm still not really sure. And these grades basically mean there have been changes to your cervix, and what that means is these cells can potentially develop into cancer. Number 4. So what that means is you will need to go to the hospital and have a biopsy, and basically what this means is that you will just need to be tested to see how advanced these cells are, and just have a doctor look at them that's specialised in the area to let you know what you need to do next to make them better. So the biopsy itself isn't anything to worry about too much. It's very similar to a smear. It's just that when they have opened your cervix, they will take a little biopsy, and basically all they ask you to do is, whilst they're talking to you, is just cough, and they'll just tug a little bit out. Now, it's not pain-free, it is uncomfortable, and you do kind of have like a little bit of a murky discharge up to a couple of weeks afterwards, just because obviously somebody's pulled something out of your vagina basically, so it just takes a little bit of a while to heal, but it's not anything too horrific by any means. And it's over nearly as quickly as the smear test itself. Number 5, the results from your biopsy. Now, what the biopsy aims to do is to obtain information that's a little bit more detailed about what's going on in your cervix. So if you've had the low, medium or high grade dysgeurosis, then that will be tested, and then they will send back the results to you, letting you know what's what and what you need to do next. Now, the way they determine what they've kind of analysed in these cells is by a term called CIN, and there are 3 grades of CIN. There are CIN1, CIN2 and CIN3. CIN1 is when 1/3 of the surface layer of the cervix is affected by abnormal cells. CIN2 is when 2/3 of the thickness is affected, and CIN3 is when the full thickness of the surface layer is affected. Number 6, treatment. So after you've had your biopsy, you will then receive your results from that, and that will determine what happens next. For this part of the kind of like lowdown on this situation, I'm just going to talk about my personal experience because that's all I have knowledge on. I don't have any information on what that basis would be if there were actually cancerous cells within the cervix. I imagine that will take a completely different route to what I've experienced, so I'm just going to talk about that. So what it means once you've had your biopsy and your results from that biopsy is that you will need to have some treatment to have those cells removed just to keep you healthy. Now treatment wise, there are a couple of treatments that they can do, and it will just be down to the individual circumstances. I think the main one is called LEAP, which is a loop excision procedure, and basically it's a really thin, low voltage, electrified wire that they basically kind of like cut away the cells with. Now you do have anaesthetic for this. Now depending on your situation, it will either be local or general. I personally had general anaesthetic. I was put to sleep. You can't feel anything if you're awake because obviously it's numb, and the recovery time is kind of like 4 to 6 weeks, but basically that just means you can't have sex or use tampons. So after having the LEAP procedure, you will be in a considerable amount of pain. It felt like a really terrible period pain for me personally. I was in a lot of discomfort, and I found that hot water bottles and just lots of rest really helped. It really knocked it out of me, and I actually think that a lot of that was to do with the anaesthetic. It's very much the same as just having a period for quite a long time rather than just a week, and it is painful and it does feel a bit, you do feel a bit grotty, but it is really worth it. Number 7, post-treatment. You will then receive a letter to say that they've caught all of the cells and that they're hoping that all of them are okay, and that they'll be in touch for you to have a repeat smear in 6 months just to make sure that they've got everything. Number 8. In 6 months' time, you will need to go for your repeat smear. Now this comes around so quickly. Mine came around super quick, and just make sure you go straight away. And it will be the same procedure all over again. As soon as you've gone for your repeat smear, it will be about 3 weeks before you hear anything back. They'll let you know the results. If it's all clear, you won't have to go for another smear test for 3 years, which is awesome. If not, you'll have to go for through that treatment again, and you'll have to keep going for 6 monthly smears until everything clears up. Number 9. Now the one thing I found when going through this experience was that the NHS are quite rubbish at wording things. Now all of the letters that I received were pretty scary, and I think that that's the main reason I wanted to create this video, is because you just don't want to feel alone in that situation. So try and not freak out too much when you receive your letters from them. There is quite minimal information, and it is quite scary information, because obviously anything with the word cancer in it and your vagina is not something that you want to hear about, and you're going to think the worst. But just know that there are so many people out there that are going through the same thing, and there is lots of support out there on the internet, and Joe's Cancer Trust were amazing when I was going through mine. They have like social groups that you can talk to people. There are just so many people out there that are going through the same thing. Just take a breath and realise that it's probably not as bad as you think it is. Number 10. Go for your smear. I cannot tell you how important it is to go for your smear test. Now, I know that all of the information that I've just given you there was really condensed, probably a little bit scary because it was so straight and to the point, but it was basically just 9 points to show you what the importance of going for a smear test is and what the whole process kind of means as a whole. Now, I have written a personal blog post about my journey up until the point of needing to have my operation, and I will be writing a blog post that covers everything kind of like post-treatment as well. And I also filmed a video on the whole process, which is super long and super detailed and goes into a lot of information about what you can expect from the treatments. So I will link all of those below so you can go and have a look and read them and watch them, so that you feel really confident with the fact that going for a smear test is 100% the right thing to do. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, guys. If you would like to show your support for like going for smear tests, then use the hashtag #SmearForSmear on Twitter and Instagram, and share a selfie with the similar thing that I did, where you're just smearing your lipstick across your face. And let's just raise some awareness for the fact that it is so important that we go and have these smear tests done Like, it saves so many lives and it's 100% worth just feeling a little bit uncomfortable with your vagina out. Like, I've said it, vagina, it's fine. Like, we all have them as women, obviously. Yes, that is all. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye.